a woman by the name of Necha from the tribe of Judah. And that's a 40% similarity. Okay, so I have DNA evidence that I'm an Israelite. Now watch this. You think I'm the only one in this room? You think I'm the only one in this room? You think I'm the only one in this room? Now I want to get into the fun stuff. Israel was already important to me, but now it is so much more. And here's why. Now these images will be ready. These images will be ready. All I got to do is call out the number. Okay, here we go. Let's put up first image number 9. Can we put up image number 9, please? There we go. So we have an amazing media and audio team, by the way. This image came up quickly because I sent them this image. So maybe I should have sent them the map that I wanted them to show. Well, the only reason I didn't is because you all remember during the pandemic how many maps I was showing. Okay, so I thought they'd just go in the vault and get one, but that's okay. All right, what are we looking at here? We are looking at Pastor Fred Price's 23andMe. This is my 23andMe. What do we have here? West African, 54%. What tops that list? Nigerian. Niger's in the building, clearly. All right. 27.5%. That's over a quarter Nigerian. What follows? Ghanaian, Liberian, and Sierra Leonean. All right. And this is broadly West African, 4.6%. Congolese and Southeast African, 6.3%. Angolan and Congolese, 5.8%. 0.5% broadly Congolese and Southern East African. Broadly Sub-Saharan African, 0.7%. And then here's the white side of me right here, under. That's a high number. Look at that, 36.3. That's right, represent. Go right ahead. I'm 1/4 British. When I went to London last year, I told every Brit I ran into, I'm 1/4 British. I'm 1/4 British. I'm also 3% Irish and 3% Scottish. I'm 30% UK. Now, some of you have done this. You've done your 23andMe. You've done your ancestry, so you know what you're made up of. A little bit of French and German. Our family thought we would have more French because my father's middle name was French. And it was daddy's daddy or daddy's granddaddy that was a full Frenchman. Who was daddy's grandfather was a full-blooded Frenchman. So we thought we would have had more French. Nevertheless, this is my 23andMe. Again, the highest percentage is Nigerian. Well, that kind of makes sense. Matter of fact, you see how much of this whole percentage is West African. Because those of us who are descendants of slaves, well, where do we come from? Or where did our forefathers come from? Came from West Africa. So this makes sense. So again, you're 23andMe. If you are what the world would call a black person living in this country who would be a descendant of slaves, your numbers possibly look like this. Now, it depends on your shade of brown or black. That would determine how much European you have in you. Okay, as you can see, I'm what some would call high yellow or maybe golden or so anyway, all right. Words like quadroon and octoroon, we don't use words like that. When you're 1/4 black or 1/8 black, etc. Okay. That's a whole lot of stuff in me. That's a whole lot of nations. Whole lot of cultures in me. I got Shem, Ham, and Japheth in me. And many of you do as well. Okay, now, again, this is my what? This is my 23andMe. But for a while now, I've been wanting to look even beyond that. I've been wanting to go ancient. And I found it. I found it. Let's do this now. Please put up image number 3. Image number 3. All right, this is what we see here. Let me read it to you. This is my DNA that goes beyond and before 23andMe. And I'll explain to you the difference in this kind of testing and what Ancestry and similar companies do. Neolithic Southeast African, 81.1%. That makes sense. Except you have to consider Africa in its ancient day. European bell beakers says 6.7%. I don't know what a bell beaker is. In most cases, I would look up something like this, but I tell you what, they're European. And right under that, it says Israelite, 5%. I want to sit there for a second. This is my DNA. And it says Israelite. It says Israelite. This is my DNA. This is not theory. This is DNA. 5%. Okay. Now let's look at this. Again, I love Israel. Always have. Why? Well, I'm called to walk in love because God is love. And the Bible commands us to love His elect of old. But when you find out you're one of them, now again, let me be very clear. I am pro Messiah before I'm pro anything else. I want you to be clear about that. That comes first. But when I look at Paul's writings, I see that while he promotes it first and says it is of the utmost importance, he doesn't forget his ethnicity. Are you still here? Okay. Here's what we're going to look at next. Oh, this one's put up image number 1. This is called the 50 regions test. By the way, this website is called ancientdnaorigins.com. ancientdnaorigins.com. East Africans, 36%. West Africans, 30%. Now, if you looked at my 23andMe, my West African was 54%. But how come my ancient DNA shows East Africa as the highest percentage? Because way back then, you have to remember, there was only a North and Northeastern Africa. Matter of fact, it wasn't even called Africa. It was the lands of Ham. South Africans, 12.3%. Central Africans, 9.1%. This West, this South, and Central Africans, I believe, based on research, they all came from Abraham. Abraham had a third wife in Genesis 25. Her name was Keturah. And through her, he populated the remainder of the continent we call Africa. But look on this region's percentage. We see Northwestern Asians, 3.2. North Persians, 3%. Israelites, 1.3%. It's a different kind of test. If you're wondering why the other one showed 5% and this one showed 1.3%, it's a different kind of test because I'm about to show you something else. I'm going to show you my Hebrew percentage. Isn't that the same as Israelite? Not in origin. Not in origin. But first I want to show you this. All right, and please know, I'm not trying to make this about me. I'm taking us somewhere. Are you all good so far? Okay. Put up image number 8, please. Image number 8. Okay, this is a very small percentage. It's only 2%, but as you can read it, my average genetic similarity to the tribe of Dan. 2%. Next image, please show image number 6. Image number 6. From 2% to 6%, my genetic similarity to the tribe of Zebulun or Zebulun. Next image, please. Show image number, let's go with image number 5. Image number 5. From 2% similarity to Dan, 6% similarity to Zebulun. My average genetic similarity to this is the Israelite portion of my DNA. 12% to the tribe of Levi. But here's the one. Here's the one. Show image number 4. Image number 4. This is the tribe that the lion comes from. Now I'm showing you 2 images here because what this test does is, it's really detailed, and they'll show you your similarity with certain persons that they have found from ancient days. Some of the names, they just have named them because they didn't know what their names were. But I want to show you this. It says, of my average genetic similarity to the tribe of Judah, 21%. Dan, 2%. Zebulun, 6%. Levi, 12%. I believe I have similarity to Simeon too, but I can't find that image. But of Judah, 21%. Of the remaining tribes, it was all less than 1%. But it says my highest genetic similarity is with a woman by the name of Nekah from the tribe of Judah. And that's a 40% similarity. Okay, so I have DNA evidence that I'm an Israelite. Now watch this. You think I'm the only one in this room? All right, let's look at this. This is the one that intrigued me the most, though. I took another test called the Semitic test. We know Israelites came from Shem, but other nations came from Shem as well. Watch this. Image number, I believe it's number 2. Yep, put up image number 2. Oh boy. Okay, here we go. Look at this. I'm going to start from the bottom. The low 2 say I have a 1.2% and 1.3% similarity with Ammonites and Moabites. Now, who are the Ammonites and the Moabites? They were the children of Moab and Ben-Ammi. Where did they come from? Well, you all remember Sodom and Gomorrah? And you all remember Lot and his wife? Well, she was addicted to the city. So she turned and looked back and became a pillar of what? But Lot and his daughters remained. And what did his daughters say? If we don't lay with our father, we will not be able to preserve our genealogy. And they laid with their father and produced the Moabites and the Ammonites. I can't believe this. I'm a 2.5% descendant of Lot. Let's take it up next. That says Hebrew, 2.3%. Now, you may say, well, I saw your Israelite 5% and your Israelite 1.3%, and of those percentages, the similarities to the tribe of Levi and Judah, etc. Well, what's this Hebrew here? Well, remember, today, in the modern era, as far back as the New Testament, to be Hebrew, Israelite, or Jew was pretty much synonymous. If I was referring to the Jews, I was referring to the Israelites. If I was referring to the Israelites, I was referring to the Hebrews. Paul shows us that, right? He says salvation was for the Jew first and then the Greek. Well, you know that Jew had to include all the tribes because Paul technically wasn't a Jew. He was from the tribe of Benjamin. So you know that when he made the statement, by that time in the known world, Hebrews, Israelites, and Jews were all synonymous terms. And we have a lot of words like that today, words that are synonymous, but their original meanings tell us a different story. Well, way back in the beginning of time, biblically speaking, that is, there were Hebrews, but there were no Israelites and Jews. Because, see, Israelites come from the Hebrews and Jews come from the Israelites. Working backwards. In order to be a Jew back then, And the first time we see the word Jew in the Old Testament was attached to a man named Mordecai. It's called Mordecai the Jew. And what did it mean to be a Jew? Old Testament period. To be a Jew meant you were a Yehudite from the tribe of Judah. So if you were from Judah, you were a Jew. If you were from Dan, you were a Danite. If you were from Reuben, you were a Reubenite. If you were from Benjamin, you were a Benjamite. If you were from Levi, you were a Levite. You all know the rest. Well, where did Judah come from? Judah came from a man named Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel, which means any children Israel has will be an Israelite. So all the tribes that came, or sons that came from Israel, which produced tribes, were the Israelites. And what made up the Israelites? Again, the Yehudites, the Levites, the Simeonites, the Reubenites, the Danites, the Naphthalim, etc., etc. Okay, working back further, because Jacob came from who? Isaac, and Isaac came from who? Abraham. Well, Abraham came from a very specific line. It was a line of Shem. That genealogy is mentioned in Genesis 11, verse 10. Starts off with Shem. Shem's son was Arphaxad, and we go down this list. Arphaxad had Salah. Actually, he had Canaan, and Canaan had Salah. And the list goes all the way down. You get to Terah, and then you get to Abram. Nahor and Haran, those were his brothers. Well, there's one name that really stands out in that genealogy. We also see it in Genesis 10:21. Hopefully we'll have time to get there. It's a man by the name of Eber. He's in that genealogy. Well, Eber actually gives us Hebrew. So the man Eber, the father of the Eberites, is actually the father of the Hebrews. And that line would then give us Abram, who then gives us Isaac, who gives us Jacob, who became Israel, producing Israelites, who gave us Judah, who produced Jews. Fast forward to today, again, the terms are all considered to be synonymous. But if you go back to the very beginning, if you were a Hebrew man, then any child you had was Hebrew. Because that's what you are. If you're a Hebrew man and a Hebrew woman and you have children, your children are Hebrew, even if they weren't Israelite. So let me give you some examples. Anyone ever heard of a child by the name of Ishmael, who showed up 13 years before Isaac? Well, who was Ishmael's daddy? Abraham. And was Abraham Hebrew? Yep. So what was Ishmael? Now, his mama was Egyptian. So what does that mean Ishmael was? Half Hebrew, half Egyptian. Joseph, for example. You all remember Joseph, whose haterade brothers sold him into slavery? And then he prospered in Pharaoh's kingdom? Well, one day, Joseph said, I want me a wife. And guess where he picked his wife from? Guess where that Israelite Hebrew boy picked his wife from? The Egyptians. He took an Egyptian wife and had two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. So what does that tell me about Ephraim and Manasseh? Half Hebrew, or half Israelite, half Egyptian. We see these minglings all throughout the scripture. It really gives us a vivid picture of the diversity of Israel. Israel's diverse. Israel's not one color. Israel doesn't have one set of facial features. Put that list back up. Image number 2. Y'all still here with me? Okay. Hebrew, 2.3%. Again, the children of Eber would become the Hebrews. And the reason why, remember, everyone spoke the same language. Y'all remember that, right? You remember what happened at the Tower of Babel? God confounded the languages so they would not understand one another's speech. Well, what happened? All of mankind got behind King Nimrod because he used his words in a clever way. I mean, they just decided to follow old, wicked, evil, anti-God Nimrod. Well, Eber said, not me and my house. And he didn't allow his children to participate in the building of the tower, and therefore his language was preserved. So the language of Adam became Hebrew in Eber, and then you had all these other diverse languages. For example, what do I see above Hebrew? I'm 5.6% Phoenician. I shared this with you. This is where we get our alphabet from. I know you heard it was the Greeks. They got it from these black-skinned folk called Phoenicians. Just to let you know. And who were the Phoenicians? Canaanites. Whoa, I'm 5.6% Canaanite. But look at that top one right there. Ethiopic. Now, 44%. The total percentage here is 55. That means I'm over half Semite. I'm a 55% Semite. I'm 55% from the line of Shem. That's major for me. Okay. I want you to see this. You see that Ethiopic? Now, when you hear the word Ethiopic, what's the first country you think of? Ethiopia. And why wouldn't you think of Ethiopia? Makes all the sense in the world. Which, by the way, who were the Ethiopians? Well, let's go to Genesis 10:6. With your permission, may I take my time quickly? Okay. Go to Genesis 10:6. We're going to get the rest of these scriptures in. I want you to see this. I need you to see it. Genesis 10:6. Okay, watch this. It says that the sons of Ham were who? Kush. You also see Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. Okay, which means that these are Hamites. They're the sons of Ham. Our European nations come from the first son mentioned, Japheth. That's where you get your Greece, your Spain, your Italy, your Thracians. The list goes on. They all come from Japheth. And then we get to Ham in verse 6, and it says the sons of Ham were, again, Kush, Put, or Kush, Mizraim, Put, and who? And Canaan. Well, working from the end of the list, we know who the Canaanites were. We know that their land would eventually become the land of Israel. Before that, you have Put. Who did Put give us? Anyone ever heard of a nation called Libya? Okay, Put gave us the Libyans. But back then, ancient Libya was all of North Africa, west of Egypt. So today you have an Algeria and a Tunisia and a Morocco. All of that was Libya. And then before that, you have Mizraim, which means Egypt. Upper and lower Egypt. And then before that, you got Kush. I got the best team. Got the best team. Okay, look, we're going to deviate for a second. I just want you to see this. Okay, can you guess where Israel is on this map? That's right, the center, the blue. And I just want you to see. Look at this. Look at this. There's Israel right there. And there's Lebanon and there's Syria. There's Iran over there with Iraq in between. And here's Egypt. And here's Palestine in here. And my goodness, look at who surrounds them. Nations that they are in diametric opposition, severe conflict with. And Israel is still thriving. Matter of fact, let me keep it honest with you. You don't want to mess with Israel. You don't want to mess with Israel. You don't want to mess with us. Okay. You don't want to. You don't want to mess with us. Okay, watch this. Go back to Genesis 10:6. Look here. The sons of Ham were Kush. I want to focus on this Kush. Because from Kush, you get an empire known as the Nubian Empire. Nubia meaning black. Well, Kush is also known as, guess what? Ethiopia. You want to know what Ethiopia means? I'm going to show you what Kush and Ethiopia means. Put up image number 10, please. Image number 10. I don't know if you can see all this, but I'll read it to you. This is what Kush means. Kushite, descendant of Kush. It means this is the wrong one. Nope, you can't look at that yet. Close your eyes. Don't look at. We got to go in the right order. Got to go in the right order. Okay, I'm going to find it for you. Here we go. Let's go with, there it is. 11. Image number 11. We're going to look at 11 and 12. Here we go. 11. There we go. All right. Kush. Okay. Kush, it says in parentheses, or Ethiopia. Now today, if you see an Ethiopian or an Eritrean, they have very unique features. But that's not how the first Ethiopians looked. They're Ethiopian, but it's not how the original ones that came out of the loins of Ham look. You want to know how they look? Like this stage. Okay, watch this. Kush was the son of Ham. I'm gonna just be straight up with you. You want to know why I'm gonna be straight up with you? Because Mr. James Strong, in his concordance, he was straight up with us. Kush mean black. Okay, that's what it means. Which means Ethiopia means black. That's what it means. It means black. Now here's what's interesting. One of the first examples that we have here is Psalm 7. And in Psalm 7, we are introduced to a Benjamite who comes from Israel who has the name Kush. Now, listen, let's just use a little common sense. Ain't no way my mama is going to name me Kush if I don't look like I'm Kush. Because you just, lady, I don't know if you realize, you just named your son Black. And that was a Benjamite from the tribe of Benjamin who came from Israel. His name was Kush. That's number one. Number two, we know he's the son of Ham, grandson of Noah, progenitor or father of the southernmost peoples located in specifically North Africa. The Nubian kingdom was found at the northern border of Sudan and the southern border of Egypt. Move me to the next image, I believe number 12. This is the rest of the definition. Here we go. Right, the peoples who descended from Cush, also the land occupied by the descendants of Cush located around the southern parts of the Nile. That's who Cush is. Now, Cush is Ethiopia. I just showed you my Semitic DNA. You saw Ethiopic. Well, what is that? Let me give it to you in its fullness. All right, put up image number 18. Image number 18. Y'all still here? Okay. Image number, so I looked up Ethiopic and it just said another term for Ge'ez or Ge'ez. I'm like, that don't help me. So I said, well, I need to look up this Ge'ez or Ge'ez. So put up image number 19, please. Image number 19. Ge'ez. Now watch this. This shows you how folk on day one were mixing and mingling. The sons of Japheth, oh, they definitely knew the daughters of Shem and Ham, and the daughters of Shem knew the sons of Ham, and the sons of Ham knew the daughters of Japheth, and a whole lot of they were really knowing each other. Why do I say that? Well, watch this. That first word, 44% of my Semitic makeup is Ethiopic, which sounds like Ethiopia, which is Cush, which means black, which comes from Ham, and yet Ethiopic, which is synonymous with Ge'ez, is an ancient Semitic language? How can a language from Ethiopia be Semitic when Ethiopia comes from Ham, not Shem?
Anyone ever heard of the word anti-Semitic? What's that mean? What's that mean? Against who? Against the who? Say it one more time. Against the who? If you're anti-Semitic, you're against Jews. Where'd that come from? You know, anti-Semitic, the word only goes back to the late 1800s. As it relates to being anti-Jewish. Now, don't throw your rocks at me. But how is it that only white Jews get to be referred to as Semitic? But how is it that only white Jews get to be referred to as Semitic?
But how is it that only white Jews get to be referred to as Semitic?
Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin. Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin.
Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin.
Michael Brown, I am Caucasian.
I am Caucasian.
I am Caucasian.
But how is it that only white Jews get to be referred to as Semitic?
You can convert to Judaism. You can't convert to a blood family. You cannot convert to a race. Judaism is a religion. That's all it is. Judaism is a religion. That's all it is.
Judaism is a religion. That's all it is.
But how is it that only white Jews get to be referred to as Semitic?
Without getting too semantic, or at the risk of getting too semantic, does it matter that the Jews are not Semites, or does this phrase anti-Semitism just means hatred for the Jewish people? They're Ashkenazi, they're Eastern European Jews.
But how is it that only white Jews get to be referred to as Semitic?
You know what you are? You're an ancient Israelite.
Ancient Israel, that's who we are. That's who we are. So if you give me time, if you give me time, all that he said.
I know. We don't have
so many years.
I know. Look at this. This is pages and pages of notes. And I promise we'll give more teaching. But here is my challenge to you.
All right.
I'm hearing some of your traditions. It's like the days of the Bible.
Yes.
Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews? Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews? Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews?
What's your thoughts? Please be respectful with your comments. Also, please click the like, click the notification bell, and subscribe to this channel.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11 verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14 verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was Abraham, born in the city of a black man called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10.